And now I'd like to call up Sandy Webb to go over the best practices inventory. This is something we do every year. It's a checklist from the state.
Thank you. It's funny, I actually went back and looked. We've actually been doing this for 6 years. In 2010 was the first year that the best practices inventory was issued by the governor's office, and there were 80 questions on it. It was extremely time-consuming. So I'm really glad to talk tonight about the best practices. They've reduced the number from what after the first year was 80 down to 50, and now they've reduced it even further to 30 questions. But I think they've hit on a lot of the good topics that I think are important, certainly important to me as the CFO, and I think to all of you in the Finance Committee and the CFAC Committee as well. The best practices inventory talks about general management, finance and auditing, procurement, budget preparation and presentation, health insurance, and personnel. And what they try to do in the questions that they've asked are to promote for us as a municipality financial accountability, sound management, and transparency. And they've been the three things that they've been looking at as they've developed this inventory since its inception back in 2010. So the way the inventory works is it's based on your yes, no, or not applicable answers. Every time you answer no, you're only allowed to miss or to get so many no answers before you're subject to lose a portion of the final payment of your state aid. And since its inception, both in the former township and the former borough, and now as our consolidated Princeton, we've always received all of our aid. So I think in terms of the questions that they asked, I think we're doing pretty well. So generally when I go through this, I'll entertain any questions that you have, but I like to just go over the ones where we are answering no to, where we would be subject to lose aid if that happened to come about. So the first question, and I know this will be no surprise to council, is question number 21, and it asks whether we introduced our budget and adopted our budget on time. And we introduced on time, and we were set to adopt, I think, at the public hearing, but then we decided to make some changes, and we couldn't make all the changes that night. We postponed it for, I think, another 2 weeks. So unfortunately, now we have to answer no to this question. But hopefully next year we'll get back on target and, get that answered back up to yes again. And the other question actually Mark brought to my attention today is question number 29. It talks about the collective bargaining union agreements and whether we've refrained from allowing them to have longevity payments based on their years of service. And we've eliminated it from non-contractual, from AFSCME, from dispatch. The only contract it remains in is still PBA. However, in the PBA contract, not even this new contract, their contract before limited longevity award payments for anybody hired after 1/1/13. So I went back, and we're going to now answer this question as a yes, because we do have a limit in place that, after a certain date, they will no longer be eligible for the longevity payments. So I'm really glad to be before you tonight and say that out of a possible 30 answer questionnaire, we have 29 that we're affirmative on. So our percentage score is 97%. So I think we're doing a great job, and it's to all of you as well as the Finance Committee.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, how many municipalities, I guess, participate in best practices, and then how many scores are this high?
I think there's some that are high, but it's interesting because in the local finance notice that they issue, they really have no way of tracking the answers, but they say that we are subject to audit. So if you're not telling the whole truth in this, they can start to pull licenses back. So certainly, for us, I know that we've answered everything accurately, and every town is required to do this.
Okay.
I think that some do rank as high as we do, but I know that there are some that struggle with some of these, especially some of the smaller communities that don't have the resources that we have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sandy, I have a quick question. This is consistent with what our professional auditor has said about our the way we handle our finances, but the issue of procurement, that has been an issue, and we've had our auditor in, and is that captured, the issue that we've had, that he mentioned, that he's brought to our attention, is that mentioned in here, or?
The best practices doesn't ask specific enough to address the issues when the auditor was here. But I think that internally, we've made a lot of strides in the way we're handling things for procurement, so I feel a lot better now than I did a couple of years ago when we had a couple repeat comments in our audit report.
Okay, great, thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.